and offer any public comments regarding topics of interest or concern that are within this board's authority. However, there are certain matters which are not appropriate for public discussion during this public comment period of time. These matters include pending procurement or land use issues or concerns that should properly be brought to another board rather than this board. This afternoon, we will, of course, have our public hearings regarding various land use issues. And with that, Mr. Thelmuller, do we have members of the public present who wish to be heard at this time?
Yes, Mayor, we have 37 registered speakers this morning.
Okay. Each of the speakers, we're going to try to give you 2 minutes. That time will go very quickly, so please use your time wisely. We do want to hear from you. With that, we'll start with the first speaker.
All right, folks, I'm going to call your names in groups. When you hear your name, please line up on the back wall. When you approach the podium, please say your name and address for the record. Our first speaker is Pamela Seibel, followed by Catherine Winter and Cole Neesmith.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
As a resident of a rural settlement with goats, chickens, and cattle as neighbors,
Excuse me.
I'm here to show appreciation. Pamela Seibel, 16011 Old Shaney Highway, Orlando, 32833. A small gesture to say thanks is being passed out. I paid for it myself, I'm not a lobbyist, and I provide a sampling of a delicious farm-to-table by local Orange County growers, farmers close to my home. Like Webb's honey, which this honey is from, the agriculture industry is an economic revenue generator for Orange County. Mr. Controller, provides lots of jobs as well as essential components for our daily lives. I'm a country girl. I was raised on a farm. Agriculture is the top third industry in Orange County and ranked second in the state of Florida. With continued reduction of rural and ag land, our food supply is in jeopardy, as well as our rural life supply. Our water supply is also in jeopardy. We're asking for additional protection for our local food sources, food security, by preserving and protecting rural settlements, rural and agricultural land, as well as our essential waterways and water sources. It makes financial sense, essential to our food supply, environment, and our quality of life. Think how we were during COVID. Nobody wanted to be enclosed in walls. They kept calling my husband and saying, I want space, open space, country space. I want a house in the country. Let me give you an example of the value of agriculture. Bees are essential to the ag industry, our food options, plants, and our health. Domestic honeybees pollinate 3 out of 4 agriculture crops in Florida, strawberries, blueberries, etc. Essential to encourage ways to promote farm-to-table opportunities, support the growers, farmers. Once you blacktop, you can't go back. Please consider the importance. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Seibel. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Hello, Commissioners and Mayor. Good morning. My name is Catherine Winter. I'm in 124 Pine Arbor Drive, District 3 route. So I'm here to speak about the split oak forest. Oh my goodness. It always comes right when a critical moment, obviously. But I'd like to encourage you all, the staff, to withdraw the agreement. The citizens have voted for split oak to be protected. 86% of us said that this was a good idea, that we did not want split oak to have a road through it. The road, as it is currently planned, is going through a critical area that needs to be mitigated by fire. If you build a road through it, it will be a lot harder to maintain that area. And additionally, the pollution from the road will go into where the that critical environment is at. So please consider withdrawing the agreement. Do not touch Split Oak. Please let it be conserved in perpetuity as designed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Winters, for your comments. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Checking one more time, Cole Neesmith. All right, next group, we have Tali Sugiwasa, Maria Severda, and Melissa Marshall. All right, the next three, Ramon Bermudez, Mariah Lynn Roberts, and Josh Page. Rima Schonenbeck, Emily Stewart, Mayor, this list is getting smaller. All right, Eric Rawlings, Kimberly Bucci, and Catherine Fitzgerald. All right, we got some.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. My name's Eric Rawlings, 139 East Muriel Street. I was the campaign manager for the Charter Amendment Initiative to Save Split Oak Forest. And as you know, 86.4% of the voters found their way all the way down the three-page ballot that we had that year. And the people that voted on the second page didn't even finish that page and went right to Split Oak because they cared so passionately about that. And I really hope that we can honor their vote and make their promise that we made for 86.4%, made that promise, and let's keep that promise. And you've heard this all before, and I know you've got to be tired of us coming here and addressing you guys about this over and over again. But if we just honored the voters and made this permanent and go around Split Oak, this isn't relieving congestion. You guys know that. It's about money, and it's about urban sprawl. And, you know, I have the utmost respect for everybody behind this dais. But please have the respect of the voters and just say no to Split Oak so we don't have to come back here every time. Because once we have a gain, like the last meeting, it was great. We applauded your decision. But now here we are again. And we're just tired. And we just want this to be preserved like it was preserved. And the land that was taken before was destroyed and repurposed. And we said, okay, because you're saving this land. And now you're kicking the can down the proverbial toll road. So thank you very much for your time. And hopefully this is the last time we'll have to talk about this. Thank you.
All right, next speaker, please.
I have a little housekeeping. I'm going to need help with overhead, please. I have one for each of you also. Thanks. That's good. Kim Bukite, 6500 Swain Road, Apopka. I'm a land surveyor. I've performed I'd like to ask for a minute extra for all the people that didn't speak. Is that okay? If I go a little over? Okay. Well, anyway, let me speak for the protections of Split Oak and did some of the first conservation easements on Split Oak back in the 90s. I advise and research on these type of matters for my clients on an everyday basis. This is complex, and we're not going to solve all the things today. Every time I've spoken with you in the past, it's been about math. It's been about legal. It's been about words and documents. But today I'm going to make it really simple because people tell me I'm just too technical. So this is a simple story. Let's imagine that we have an eccentric grandmother with a beautiful car in the garage, and she's been promising it to all of us. Be a good girl. Look what I've got. And that's what we're all falling prey to right now. Promises have been made to Orange County, to Osceola County, to the people, to the Lake Mary Jane Alliance. I'd be mad if I were them too, because they've had understandings and things promised to them about this land that we're talking about for donation lands. There's agreements with CFX. There are permits with the Water Management District and the Army Corps of Engineers setting aside this land. How many times are we going to set aside the same land for different purposes and double dip on all of these acreage calculations? City of Cocoa Beach has their supply wells out in this vicinity, their water supply with access needed to maintain that. How many other promises have been made to God and everybody? So let's do better. Let's stop the crazy grandmother from making all these promises for the one car. Did that make sense? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Buchheit, for your comments, and we will move to the next speaker, please.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners. Kathleen Fitzgerald, 518 Oxford Court, Orlando, Florida, 32803. These meetings have taught me that public comment is always limited to arbitrary time allotted, not the time needed for this board to become well-informed. Kim Buchheit, whom you just heard, and Valerie Anderson are both experts on the geography and the biodiversity in Split Oak, but they cannot in 1 or 2 minutes show you surveys and maps and provide meaningful analysis of the forest and neighboring lands, habitat restoration, and wildlife corridors. Instead, this board seems to rely on staff reports and other biased analyses by people with a personal, political, or financial agenda. Val and Kim should be special guests of this board and given extended time to share their knowledge and to respond to the misinformation being promulgated. Our Orange County Charter states that revoking the protections that were enumerated when the forest was created is not allowed. Val and Kim can explain the full story behind the greenwash version being pushed on this board. If you'll listen to them, the facts will give you the confidence to notify the FCT that you do not support the release of land for the Osceola Parkway extension. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Ms. Fitzgerald, we'll move to the next speaker, please.
Mayor, next to the speakers are going to be Gretchen Robinson, Kristen Long, and Katrina Shaddix.
Good morning, Commissioners. Gretchen Robinson.
Morning.
If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a glass of milk. If you give a developer 160 acres, he's going to want, well, I hope you catch my drift. So here we are again. As someone who has been involved in activism of one kind and another since I was in elementary school, I get that policy change is a long game, especially when you're the David of environmental protection and you're up against the Goliath of the real estate development industry. I engaged in this fight 7 years ago, and make no mistake, my fellow warriors and I are in this for the long haul. I am tired of the false equivalency being touted to paint 1,500 acres of substandard, in cases non-contiguous and in significant measure heavily polluted land as fair trade for putting 1/10 of prime, pristine, exquisite conservation land and critical habitat out of commission, including my favorite hiking trail. People, you don't get to take my favorite hiking trail, and apparently 86% of our county electorate say no right along with me. We share our habitat with wildlife. We need to not be butthead neighbors with that wildlife. I am also profoundly tired of seeing the same process play out over and over and over again, where we have huge numbers of people coming to say, no, we don't agree with this. And one or two people come up and say what the decision makers want to hear, what they've been told they want to hear. And so the decision makers roll right over the public opinion. That's not what serving the public should be about. Decision makers who are elected to serve their electorate need to be listening to the voice of the people, and we say no. Hands off Split Oak. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Robinson. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Kristen Long. Thank you very much for having us all here. I'm at 4817 Addison Street in Orlando within District 5. I'm a clinical registered dietitian and a small-scale gardener, 2 part-time jobs. I'm not an activist, but I've been here with Friends of Split Oak now for a few years because I absolutely oppose touching that land in any way that was not intended to be touched. I do not understand putting a road through this when the people have repeatedly voted to protect this land and keeping hands off of it, other than for the maintenance of the environment. And in terms of this land swap, talking about putting, far more acreage under protection, the way that I see it is that if Split Oak isn't protected, then no land is protected. I just simply don't trust that land swap, and I don't believe that will actually happen. So what I'm asking for, just as a regular person here, is for Split Oak to be protected, which is what the people have asked for. And also, I'm asking for my vote to be protected, because if my vote doesn't count for this, then it cannot count anywhere else. So please, please hear us out. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Long. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Was there a Katrina Shaddix? All right. Next set of speakers are going to be Jim Irwin, Val Mobley, and Matthew Grosholski. Thank you.
My name is Jim Irwin. I live at 116 Fernwood Street in Orlando, Florida. The land swap deal is a mirage. It was never meant to be serious. Anybody who has studied restoration, for instance, the Disney Wilderness restoration, knows that $13 million is laughable. A proponent of the land swap said that the Florida Wildlife Commission should negotiate skillfully and forcefully for more money. That is ridiculous. It is cynical. No appointee of Ron DeSantis or I had the good fortune to spend a day with a supervisor from FWC on a land thing. The conversation drifted around to Split Oak. And the upshot of it was that she said, in other words, we do not dare say or do anything that would be disfavorable to the development industry. So for her to say, for this other person, proponent, to say that the FWC should negotiate forcefully and skillfully, what she did say, the FWC supervisor did say, is that since we can't do anything or say anything, we depend on you, meaning me and my environmental organization, to send out the flying monkeys.
All right, thank you, Mr. Irwin.
You just heard
next
from one
speaker,
of the
please.
flying monkeys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Val Mobley from 226 West King Street in Orlando. I'm here today representing the League of Women Voters of Orange County. And please remember, we are a nonpartisan political organization. The League has consistently supported the protection provided by Florida's Constitution, that's Article 10, Section 18, as it protects our Florida Forever conservation lands forever, with one exception. The land no longer has conservation value. That is simply not the case at Split Oak Forest. But you all know this. We've been addressing this matter for many years, and you know that the exchange of property that has been suggested is fraught with problems, not the least of which is the precedent that it would set for conservation lands statewide. If Split Oak Forest isn't protected from development, no natural lands are safe in this state, and you, unfortunately, will have a hand in spoiling the state we all love. The League of Orange County expects you to uphold Florida's Constitution. If the rule of law is not respected in Orange County, how can we expect better from our representatives in Tallahassee? We're counting on you to abandon any perceived ties to building this road through our forest. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Matthew Grocholski, Winter Park 32789, District 5. So I'm here because I'm representing the Sunrise Movement Orlando, one of the largest Generation Z climate change advocacy organizations in Orange County and nationwide. I'm here to actually talk about something else, though. One, I am up in Tallahassee. I'm, of course, an LGBT activist. I'm fighting a lot of battles that I'm not winning. I'm a Gen Z, student, LGBT, non-binary Floridian. I'm not winning that much. After subcommittees in which I'm misgendered, I face a lot of hate, I actually go not in just my car to cry, but also forests. That is where I feel the most safe and most secure. Having a forest means that there's mental health empowerment. That is something that can be said for so many people. People feel at will, they feel like they can meditate in a forest. Having mental health empowerment doesn't just bring fiscal benefits. It also leads to people wanting to continue living. Desecrating Split Oak Forest is going to lead to people not feeling that they can have a secure and safe space in Orange County. I say that we need to withhold the agreement. In a state that is continuously attacking our climate, our conservation, Orange County needs to continue being the bastion of the state in terms of fighting for our climate and our conservation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Japolsky. We'll move to the next speaker.
All right, next set of speakers is going to be Jeffrey Dorian, followed by Gerald Loyola and Hannah Yamaguchi.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners, and my Commissioner Mike Scott. Jeff Dorian, 100 East Anderson Street. My topic is a change of pace. I'm here today to back the tax. I mean, in support of bringing back the sales tax to improve transportation. I moved here 3 years ago from Fort Lauderdale, where I spent most of my life in senior apartments, and I used the local bus and train on occasion. For most of my life, I watched highways being built and widened in South Florida, and traffic just got worse. We learned too late there are better solutions. I read the last plans for the penny sales tax. I like the proposals, and it's smart to plan development around mass transit, like I believe the county is considering with its Vision 50. We're a thriving tourist city. We deserve to be able to raise the money for a great mass transit system. I'm on a fixed income, but I think the acts that tax supporters are nearsighted. I say we back the tax.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dorian, for your comments. We'll move to the next speakers.
All right. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Gerald Loyola. I am a PharmD candidate at the UF College of Pharmacy in Lake Nona and an organizer with Sunrise Movement Orlando. And I'm here on behalf of the coalition of organizations representing the Friends of Split Oak. I wanted to express my extreme disappointment that this even has to be a conversation, yet again. 86% of voters in 2020, an election year when attendance at the polls is really high, voted to protect Split Oak in perpetuity. And perpetuity, if I'm not mistaken, I know I'm a student, means forever. Not when developers knock on the door asking to build a toll road, not a public road, a toll road through land that was guaranteed to me as a citizen of Orange County in the Constitution. Building a road through conservation land that was already set aside to offset development and proposing another offset is setting a dangerous precedent. I urge the commissioners to maintain a stance in the protection of Split Oak. Once again, I remind you that 86% of voters wanted to protect Split Oak. That same 86%, not the corporation building this road, votes our officials in. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Hannah Yamaguchi and I live in Orlando 32835. I'm also an organizer with Sunrise Movement Orlando, which is a nonpartisan youth-led organization fighting the climate crisis. You have heard us speak before on our fight against parking minimums, which has not stopped, and we come here again calling out the ridiculousness of building a toll road through Split Oak Forest. This not only sets a dangerous precedent, we should simply not be resorting to building more roads, because when will we ever stop? Applying the concept of induced demand, it will never stop. Roads will continue to be built for short-term convenience, destroying our wildlife and making Florida even hotter by slapping on asphalt that absorbs and retains heat. We want to see long-term solutions to our rapidly increasing population. We want to see Florida where public transit is reliable, a preferred mode of transportation, so we don't need to keep building roads, and definitely not toll roads. If you want to see Florida thrive in the long run, you have
Comments? Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is going to be Robert Stein, followed by Gordon Spears and J.R. McGovern. I think you might be up, Gordon.
Thank you. My name is Gordon Spears. I'm here to speak in favor of the preservation of Split Oak Forest in its entirety. As some of you may know, I serve on the Orange County's Planning and Zoning Commission, local planning agency representing District 5. Typically, items of importance in planning come to us for deliberation for our recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, but in this case, we were never consulted about this. Therefore, I'm here to you in person to speak about this issue. As you know, in 2020, 86% of the voters in this county, 503,000 voters voted in favor of preserving Split Oak in perpetuity. And yet, the county has voted against that. And this does nothing to foster public trust in our county government. Sadly, public and you have an opportunity today to start to rebuild the trust in the public. Now, Mr. Mayor, I believe that while I've heard a rumor that you plan to bring back the penny sales tax for transportation improvements, and I support that, but without public trust in our county government, I don't see a clear way for a penny sales tax to go through. So I urge you to start to restore public trust in our county government and to vote no for any impacts of Split Oak Forest. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spears. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name
Morning.
is Junior McGovern, and I used to live, 926 North Texas, 32804. I used to live on the south side of Split Oak, but they built around me. Developments built around me. So, Mr. Scott, I'm now in your district. And I often take people to Split Oak, visitors and family and friends, and lead hikes there. I'm a regular visitor. And I think people forget, like, it's not only the 60 acres, but we're dealing with sound pollution. We do yoga in the forest on a regular basis. It's really hard to do those activities and hiking with trucks roaring past. And I just want to support the animals that are there because they can't speak for themselves. And the endangered and threatened species that we've found as an organization. So thank you for listening, and I hope you support Split Oak too.
All right, thank you, Ms. McGovern, for your comments. We'll move to the next speaker.
All right, next batch of speakers is going to start with Sharon Robbins, followed by Daniel Hart and Suzanne Arnold.
Good morning. Sharon Robbins, 12636 Lake Mary Jane Road. The proposed road through the corner of Split Oak at this point is our best option to preserve the integrity of this beautiful wildlife and environmental area. If the proposed road does not happen, the developer's plan is to put industrial buildings and high-density development next to the forest adjacent to our endangered Florida scrub jays, who will either leave or die off. This will also isolate Split Oak and Moss Park, since there will be no requirement to connect to the main Florida Wildlife Corridor, which begins in South Florida and travels through the area. With the present rate of commercial and residential construction in the area, a road is coming. And the route that hugs the corner of Split Oak may not work with the same connection points in the future, leaving a more impactful route through Split Oak Forest, which would be disastrous for all of the wildlife, especially the endangered gopher tortoise, for which this special land was set aside. Please support the minimization route that adds 1,500 acres of land for conservation plus $13 million in restoration and maintenance funding from CFX. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Morning, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Daniel Hart, 13105 Fernway Road, 32832. I'm not going to have to start with why we're here. I just wanted to bring up, you as a board, you are receiving quite a bit of political pressure, and it always keeps coming back to the vote. I want to bring up the amendment that was on the ballot. It was very, let's say, it was lacking a lot of very important information. It basically asked the question, should Orange County be allowed to bulldoze conservation lands to put a highway? Well, if it's brought to you like that, how are you going to vote? Of course that's how you're going to vote. Nowhere in there did it explain the processes that had already gone through. The agreements between Orange County, Osceola County, and the Florida Committees Trust had already been done, gone to the state, and approved. In May of 2020, that letter was sent by county administrator to the state, and it was approved, and in November, what was put on the ballot was just not fair. It wasn't fair representation of us receiving 1,550 acres in addition to the preserves that we already have set around there. Over 50 years ago, it started with Moss Park, and then Split Oak, Isle of Pines Preserve, Eagles Roost, Crosby Island. They all total about 3,000 acres. You have the opportunity to increase that by 1,500 acres and have 4,500 acres of preservation and preserve. So I'm asking you, the road's coming. I'm asking you to support the minimization route. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment, Mr. Hart. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Arnold. I'm the Communications Chairperson for the Lake Mary Jane Alliance. I live at 13306 South Lake Mary Jane Road. And I wanted to tell you, the Lake Mary Jane Alliance, just a little bit about us. We're a grassroots organization with over 600 properties in southeast Orange County. The Alliance formed in 2005 to help preserve 465 acres of environmentally sensitive land that is now, it's a green place land, now known as the Isle of Pines Preserve. The county paid $7.6 million for this land, plus they had to put in money for restoration and maintenance to add, excuse me, to add hiking trails, et cetera. This land is adjacent to Moss Park and to Split Oak. Our organization then started getting involved with all sorts of different kinds of meetings. We've attended hundreds of meetings for Orange County over the years, for the Narcoossee Road Development, Innovation Way, Split Oak, Sunbridge Parkway. We've teamed with other rural settlements across Orange County to help them stand up to unacceptable development and urban sprawl. The Alliance has been fighting OCX since 2012. Divide Split Oak down the center. When asked if the road should go through conservation land, the answer should always be no. But stopping the road at this point from going through the center of Split Oak will not stop the road. Stop it from going through the corner of Split Oak. Any way that you look at it, we really feel that the road is still going to come. This is going to cause more long-term environmental damage to Orange County lands with intense development up against our current conservation lands, and also isolate these lands from the Florida Wildlife Corridor. So we ask that you continue to support the minimization route so that Osceola cannot take over management of our Orange County lands. We believe that the Orange County Commissioners have higher standards in managing these lands and can really make a difference. We also hope that we learn from the mistakes of the lack of protections for Split Oak Forest.
All right, thank you, Ms. Arnold, for your comments. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
All right, next to the speakers are going to be Jeffrey Casey, George Morning, and Maria Bolton Joubert. That one.
Good morning.
Morning.
I prepared a presentation. We're just waiting for slides. I'm Jeffrey Casey. I live in Tangerine, the rural settlement, at 7459 Sadler. I'm here with my partner, Grace Janisha, and I'm also the chairman of the Tangerine Improvement Society Traffic Safety Committee. It said I could use the clicker, but I've never used this one before. Can we? Okay. I'm here in reference to your upcoming agenda for traffic. Specifically, there's a vote for changing the speed limit on Dora Drive. I understand that these are on the basis of a study that was done by the Traffic Engineering Division in 2022, and I don't know if it's procedurally appropriate, but I'm asking for some counter votes to lower the speed limits to something that's more appropriate to bicyclists and pedestrians. we've responded to the study that was, as presented to us, our community has. Our roads in Tangerine need to go on a real speed limit diet. And to our own road that my partner and I live in, we like to walk and bike, and we really can't step outside our driveway. Next slide, please. The data is in on the crash severity around our road. It's already been presented to us. And we've asked the Traffic Engineering Division and our commissioner to lower the speed limits just on the basis of the crash data up to 2020. We've only been adding to the accidents and death. Next slide, please. This is the history of us contacting the county. Next slide. Our roads have no shoulder, no bike lane, absolutely no buffer. You can see our road is completely devoid, that's Sadler Road. So we're asking for your help. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Casey. And Mr. Casey, I think, look to the county administrator, is the Public Works Director representative here?
Yes,
that
what he's referring to tonight was on today's agenda. Okay. Item G3 on today's agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the consent agenda, Mayor.
Correct, Mayor.
All right.
But Joe is back there, but this is what he's referring to.
There's a Public Works Director. If you don't know him, just, Joe, introduce yourself to him. All right, next speaker, please.
Good morning, Mayor Demings, members of the board. My name is George Morning. I reside at 4494 Real Court, Orlando, Florida, 32808. I'm here representing small business advocates of Central Florida and our local small business community on the Transportation Tax Initiative. The Transportation Tax is a designated funding source for links and a number of other transportation requirements for our communities. It is also, and it may be, a designated funding source for small businesses. There are over 341,000 small businesses in Orange County metropolitan area, representing 99% of all businesses. Those companies have over 428,000 employees, representing 39% of all employees in our metropolitan area. So the largest increase in new, permanent, and ongoing employment is made by small businesses, and it continues to be so. They have the largest impact on our economy in terms of employment, tax revenues, crime, housing, homelessness, etc. Large capital projects are essentially designated for large businesses. Small businesses do not have the capital nor the capacity to pursue such projects, such as the Convention Center, Camping World Stadium, and the other venues that we discussed last week. Although small businesses represent the majority of businesses and employ the majority of our citizens, there is no designated funding or projects for small business, with the exception of very few projects that have a small business goal. Using an estimate of 20% for small business participation, the transportation tax could provide a permanent funding source of over $100 million annually for 20 years for small businesses. Given some of the data and statistics I provided to you today, it's clear the impact that this would have on our local economy. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Morning. You got in right under the wire. All right, next speaker, please.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
Long time. Maria Bolton Jobert, 1377 Page Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32806. 86.4% of voters, and the voters are watching. We have an election year, and rumor has it, a few of you on this board are going to be moving to higher and higher positions within the next few years. So please, on that note, 86.4% of voters. And I am going to tag on what Gordon said, the penny sales tax for mass transportation. If we don't honor the voters here, why would I vote in support of that, thinking they'll probably just use the money for something else? or they won't honor my vote. We hear about election fraud all day, and here's some local stuff happening. So again, if you would like mass transportation to happen in this county and the penny sales tax in the future to get voted on and passed and go towards that, we would have to honor this. Honor what we already voted on. The 86.4% of the voters who are watching and who know that you all will move on to higher positions. Be it some of you for mayor, some of you for governor, senator, or whatnot. And there is no guarantee that this land swap won't be messed with in the future. I believe the Lake Mary Jane folk have been promised something, right? Well, guess what? We were promised something too, everybody, 86.4%. So please honor the voters and realize that this is going to have future repercussions if you want other things to get passed and for people to believe you. Otherwise, we lose faith in government, right? So why would we keep participating in that? So please save Split Oak Forest, honor the voters, and maybe even a penny sales tax towards conservation land. I would totally support that.
Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
comments. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Next speakers are going to be Kelly Simrad, Hannelore Berger, and Racina McVicker.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is Kelly Simrad. I reside at 3111 Amalfi Drive. I'm here to ask you guys to also protect Split Oak Forest. I'm the Vice Chair for Save Orange County. Save Orange County has stood behind this initiative from the very beginning. And I think that initially, we were creating a mountain, right? People talked about this as a forest left to us in perpetuity. It was supposed to offset overdevelopment. It was bought with our money, and then we heard the developers saying, but we need to manage growth, we need to do this. So we were standing on top of a mountain, but when the citizens took it to a vote, and 86% of us said, protect our forests, and we put it into our county constitution, this became a whole different argument. This now becomes protecting people's rights. This is a right that Orange County voters put into our constitution, because we no longer trusted that our elected officials would represent what we were fighting for. We felt as though we were ignored, we felt as though we were not heard, so we went through the right democratic process to put the rights of this forest into our constitution and to protect it. If we fail to honor our constitutional rights in this county, then what do we have? Then what rights do we have? So for some people will say this is only a forest. This is no longer only a forest. This is a constitutional right, and you were elected to protect our Constitution. There's only one right answer here moving forward. It's to stand with the people. Thank you for your time, thank you for your service, and thank you for protecting our rights. Thanks.
All right, thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hi. My name is Hannelore Berger. I live at 120 Hibiscus Court, Orlando, Florida. I'm here to talk about a human case. So I came home from work the other night, and I saw on the TV, on the news, 2 policemen handcuffing a woman and escorting her out. She runs an unlicensed care facility. And the night before, she gave medication to one of the patients and they died. And the coroner called it murder. A couple days later, Eric Sandoval knocks on a door. The lady opens the curtain, closes it, and doesn't open the door. So he had a big list of unlicensed care facilities. And guess what? Most of them are here in Orange County in Orlando. Shame on us. So these facilities are dirty. Things are broken, they don't get fixed. They don't have a medical person on staff. I call them the forgotten people. And I know it's been here before, but this is the moment that we do something. Do you want to be in one of those facilities? No, I don't either. And in the spirit of the old hippie that I am, we should form a love bug facility. Get churches involved. Have people, train them, volunteers, go visit these facilities, open the curtains, let the sun in. Let these people know that we still care. So, this is the time to do it, and this is the moment. Hey, I did it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. All right, next speaker, please.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners.
Morning.
Rosina McVicker, 1723 Lockwood Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32812. I'm here to talk to you about your Animal Services Advisory Board and our committee, my group of colleagues, and some of the things that we've accomplished in the last few years. It was my pleasure to be elevated to the board in December of 2019. I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing people. Some veterinarians, some attorneys, some law enforcement folks, just a good group of people who have the best interests of our animal services facility, the animals, and the community of Orange County at heart. At times that board is criticized. Folks feel that the board members maybe are not familiar with the shelter, have never been there. I'm here to just let you know that my colleagues have all gone way above and beyond their required attendance at a monthly meeting, where one of my colleagues recently commented, "Are we going to the meeting this month to be yelled at?" We have board members who volunteer at the shelter. We have board members who foster animals. We have board members that transport animals. We have board members that coordinate events to support and encourage our volunteers at the shelter, and also our staff and management, to show our appreciation for what they do. Now, does that mean we always agree? No. Often we don't, but we have an excellent relationship, and we're able to move forward to look for solutions in a very positive way. So I would like to thank you for previously appointing me. If you choose to reappoint me, I would be extremely grateful for the opportunity, and I'd like to thank all of you for your support. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
All right, this is the last set of speakers, starting with Lee Perry, Valerie Anderson, and Robert Roche.
Thank you all so much. My name is Lee Perry. I reside at 2008 Carina Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32810. I live in District 2. Really disappointed to see my commissioner consistently gets up and leaves the room when she doesn't respect this topic. But so I would like you all to really take the time to think about what it's like to be buried alive. Gopher tortoises live underground when buried alive for 9 months in total darkness, digging and digging and digging until they starve to death. Many of the gopher tortoises that reside at Split Oak Forest are there because they were mitigated from our existing convention center. And you know, I'm here to speak on behalf of the existing residents of Orange County, the people that come here to Orange County to visit. We already don't have enough water to sustain the people who are currently living here, let alone the thousands of acres that they plan on developing out here, like some other people in the community who are speaking on behalf of their own backyards and their own protection of their own home. I understand that's a valid reason to come out and speak, but I'm talking about the bigger picture. I'm talking about our future, our survival, and sprawl is expensive and dangerous. It harms our wildlife. It harms our ability to have clean air and clean drinking water. And at the end of the day, the developers who are going to profit the most off of this do not live here, and they do not care. Last but not least, look at all of the data, please, not just what the Orlando Economic Partnership brings you. Look at the data from your own Back to Nature Wildlife Refuge, where they're seeing more animals come in sick, more animals that can't go off and die in peace. They're bringing diseases back home. Look at what's happening and go beyond to get the data that really shows the impact of this toll road. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. As I always say, when we're restricted in our time in this manner, 2 minutes in heaven is better than 1 minute in heaven. Valerie Anderson, 1750, Moss Court, Kissimmee, Florida. I would like to take a larger picture view. Supporters of this road perhaps can't see the forest for the trees of Roberts Island Slough. Supporters of the land swap are failing to see the broader impact that the proposal would have. Conservation land is difficult and expensive to acquire, as you may know, because on your consent agenda, you're acquiring conservation land. Unlike for toll roads, local and state government do not have the power of eminent domain to take land for conservation. Once purchased, conservation land also has a limited set of ways that you can protect it. One way of protecting conservation land is to layer conservation easements, mitigation, and methods of getting the money onto a single piece of property. Split Oak has that. Other conservation lands do not. Another way is to create contracts between multiple parties so that there are many stakeholders who can speak up when something wrong is happening on the conservation land that they have a responsibility for. Split Oak has that. Supporters of the road also assert that the swampland has value as a wildlife corridor. I asked them to please produce a map showing which conservation land this swap deal connects Split Oak, Moss Park, and Isle of Pine to. Is it TM Econ Mitigation Bank? Because it doesn't touch that. Is it Halscott? That's 4 miles away. It doesn't touch that, and it's broken by the Innovation Way overlay. This is not a wildlife corridor currently. And do you know who's destroying the wildlife corridor? Sunbridge Development and Deseret. And so to say that this is some benefit to a wildlife corridor is absolutely ridiculous. I have 3 asks for you during the next board meeting. 1, make a decision to craft your own legal position regarding Split Oak and stop taking the developer's position. Defend the rights of Orange County and its citizens. Describing the charter provision, seriously guys.
All right, thank you very much for your comments. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Good morning. Robert Rosa, UCTP, American Indian Movement, Florida. I'm not going to repeat what everybody so eloquently said up here in regards to the pristine property, saving it from utter destruction, but I am going to say that amongst everybody I see here, they have fought adversity to be where they are today. And just because it's a law or you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. We got to remember, especially in this month, that slavery was legal. Segregation was legal. So just because it's legal to do something doesn't make it right. And we need to care about our lands, about our waters, about our wildlife. Because everybody here I know loves fishing. But when it's gone, what are we going to do? What are we going to eat? When the last tree falls, what are we going to breathe? Are they going to sell oxygen just as they do water? Water, a commodity. When in your lifetime did you think water was going to be a commodity? But there it is, right up on the stock market. Is oxygen going to be a commodity next? Is this where we're going to? You have the power to stop this. Save Split Oak.
All right, thank you for your comments. We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Mayor, that was the last speaker.
All right, thank you to all of the speakers who spoke this morning. We will be addressing the various issues with the agenda today. We have one more. Mayor Nelson, Brian Nelson from the great city of Apopka, come forward, sir.
Sorry, Mayor, I thought I'd filled out the form, but maybe I didn't incorrectly. Thank you. Appreciate you having a meeting with me last week, kind of to go over some ideas. We had a meeting several weeks ago at the West Orange Chamber of Commerce, and we got Stephen Lewis here with us today with the mayors and city administrator, city managers from the West Orange Chamber. So I want to read a real quick synopsis of the sales tax initiative for transportation. I think we can all agree that the gas tax is trending either flat or declining due to vehicles getting better gas mileage. And just as important, we haven't figured out how to tax EV cars, which are making a greater impact on our very congested roadways. The mayors of West Orange County, including Windermere, Ocoee, Winter Garden, Oakland, and Apopka, have discussed the transportation tax that failed a couple of years ago, and we've all agreed to support the sales tax with some significant changes. Here are the changes that all of our West Orange mayors have agreed to, which are needed for our support. The revenue split should be 60% transportation improvements and 40% transit, which is Sunrail and Lynx. The 60% portion of the tax should be allocated to each municipality based on the standard sales tax formula. We will eliminate the technical review committee and just give the money to the cities and counties to be used as they see fit. We will encourage the comptroller to audit our books each year to confirm that the money being spent is on appropriate transportation improvements. Each of our city councils will vote to approve a 5-year work plan, letting our voters know which projects will be completed using these extra dollars, and we, the elected officials, will be held accountable to finish those projects. And last but not least, we will not only approve it at City Council, but we'll also have it printed in the West Orange Times and the Apopka Chief for all to see. We, the mayors of West Orange County, are here to help, but need these assurances to not only approve the ballot language, but to actually promote and encourage the passing of this much-needed sales tax. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mayor Nelson, and we appreciate the input from the mayors from West Orange County. We look forward to likely continuing those conversations with you as well. All right, thank you. Do we have any other speakers at this time? Okay.
Did you fill out a speaker card?
I did. I thought I
Sure. Just give your name and we'll get you afterwards.
Thank you. Katrina Bonacore, Haines City, Florida, 33844. I actually live in Polk County. I grew up in Orange County. And I just have a few things. If you guys are interested in reading about road ecology, crossings, and how it's shaping our planet, I might not have the title right, but if you look it up, it is actually a very, very insightful information. It talks about how road ecology offers one pass through its thicket. In North America and Europe constructed their roads and networks with little regard to how it would affect nature and even less comprehension of how to blunt those effects. In the book, it talks about, there was a study that was done, the Phantom Road of Idaho, where they put speakers in the middle of a forest in Idaho and played road noises to see what the effects on the birds it would be. And they studied those birds, and by the time winter came, with their expect, a majority of them left, and the ones that did stay actually ended up not being able to prepare themselves for winter. Instead of hunting and foraging with their ears, they had to spend a majority of their time looking around for predators. So this road is going to affect the wildlife regardless, with it being built, regardless of where it goes, and how we have this opportunity in Florida to connect our natural areas to the corridor. We have the ability to think before we build them and understand that we have this ability to build these roads with the thought of wildlife rather than the thought of wildlife after we build them. And I think we should really think about what lasts doesn't come easy, and what's easy won't last, and just coming up and building these roads through these wildlife without even considering them. And just to reiterate a lot of what people said today, really, really please don't allow this, and really think about the potential of roads in the future. Thank you.
Can you give us your name one more time?
Katrina Bonacore. Katrina Bonacore with a C.
All right, thank you. And hopefully we'll reconcile and we have her information. All right, thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers? Okay, have you filled out a card? Yeah, I filled it out online. Okay, maybe you were one of the names they called early, and I don't know if you missed when they called the names. There were quite a few names that were called earlier, and it did not appear that the individuals were present at that time. So come forward and give us your name and your address.
My name is Constantino, and I live in Orange County, 7841 Turn Drive, 32822. I'm here on behalf of the Reptiles With podcast and as a volunteer for the FFEP, the Foundation of Florida's Environmental Protection. As has been said before, Split Oak is land reserved for conservation, and to this day it maintains that value. Originally a mitigation to offset continued land development of our county. Now we're being offered another mitigation on that very mitigation. Not to mention, this land swap scheme is not a fair trade. The CFX's offer is for conservation land, wherein protected gopher tortoises have been relocated and the protected endemic Florida scrub jay is called home. But they would relinquish previous orange groves. The cost and time of restoring this used farmland alone shows a partisan win against Florida's precious environment. A major highway cannot possibly be considered to have a minimal impact on its surroundings. Highway mortality, air pollution, toxic water runoff, trash, and promoting further land development cannot be taken lightly. This road development also sets a dangerous precedent. As far as I know, Split Oak is protected legally by everything available short of a national park. If even Split Oak's protections can be bulldozed, then what's to say of any other Florida land devoted to conservation? Not to mention the impact it has on our democratic process. We voted, we went to the polls, we showed up, we did our duty, our part, and exercised our civic responsibilities to protect what we wanted. If you go against our wishes, in what conceivable way can you call yourselves our representatives? You are our civil servants. Protect Split Oak. There is a moral objective to do so, and it's your professional objective to represent us and lead this county the way the people say. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Do we have any other speakers? All right. With no other speakers, then we're going to close the public comment period at this time and move forward on our agenda to the consent agenda.